Hi everyone, welcome to this week's video. So sorry there wasn't one last week. I worked myself into a flare, partially because of this video, because I kept forgetting to eat. So I worked myself into a flare over this. But anyway, I made a Vtuber in 2 weeks. I feel like I could have done it faster if I had actually taken care of myself, because forgetting to eat actually makes the process longer, because then you get migraines and throw up from the migraine. So maybe don't do it in 2 weeks. Do it in 1.
So first I started sketch tutorials thumbnails. I first started by watching so many tutorials. I could not do this without this YouTuber. Oh my god, they are amazing. They're the only reason I could do it. And I also forgot to film how I rigged the eyes. So if you want to see that more in depth, apparently I'm malfunctioning, but definitely check out their video. And I also made a Pinterest board of the character vibes I wanted. As you can see, a lot of Love and Deep Space on there because I am obsessed with that video game. Unfortunately, there is AI on this freaking board because Pinterest sucks now and almost everything is on AI and I hate it. I'm sorry for yelling at you. That's just how I feel. Here is my original sketches. I first started with like bits and bobs of the body. I didn't want to do a full design, just like the accessories she might have, and then once I was done kind of getting the vibe and essence of her character, I drew this. Though I did end up changing her hair just because that would be so hard to rig, that fluffy hair, and this is my first time ever rigging a character. And it turns out really well. I toot my own horn. I did a rough sketch of the character digitally after the sketchbook one, just so I could understand models better, because you want the sides to be the same. However, this is just a sketch yet again. I just wanted to see the colors as well, because I didn't do the colors in the original sketch because it was my sketchbook, and I wanted to see what the colors would look like on my iPad. This is where I decided to change the hair. When I was drawing it on this, I was like, no way. No way would that ever work. Well, it would work if I had more experience rigging. The sketch also gave me an opportunity to make an outfit because I didn't really have a planned outfit yet for her. I had like a vague idea, but in the sketch, in my sketchbook, I just showed her in like barest of clothes so I could know her body shape. So this, I want a dress, sort of. I was kind of thinking like a battle dress almost, which does not exist almost. And I need to stop talking so loud because I keep peeking the microphone. So yeah, sorry about like when I turned into a robot earlier. That was kind of bad. I have the habit of yelling when I'm excited. But anyway, back to what I was saying. I was kind of going for a battle dress. Here is the finished sketch. And I really loved how it turned out. And I would spend the next 3 days working on the final. And it would take me a while because I wanted to make sure that the line art was thin, but thick enough so I would know where the body parts ended and began, because you have to break up each part into a different layer, like hand, shoulder, each strand of hair, each thigh. Everything needs to be broken up so it can move independently when you're rigging it. It was really weird because I'm not someone who uses a lot of layers, but as you can see, it's all split up. Like the face is one layer, but then the nose and the mouth are gonna be different layers. That's especially important for the mouth. You need like 50 different layers for teeth, lips, top, up lip, bottom lip, under teeth, top teeth, tongue, inner mouth. That was the most complicated because to be honest, I'm not looking in people's mouths. I don't know how to draw an inner mouth because you never see someone's inner mouth. So there was a lot of references I had to be looking at. But I did need like weird references because she's not a human. She is a dragon hybrid human. If you've ever played Dungeons and Dragons or Baldur's Gate, if you know what a draconic sorcerer is, that's kind of the vibe I was going for because I love Dungeons and Dragons, and dragons are just so cool. If dragons existed, I would definitely own one. Uh, you kidding me? Flying in the sky on a dragon, on my own personal dragon that I can talk to? Sign me up. So, of course, I had to make my VTuber a dragon because I just love them. I thought about making a phoenix though because I have nearly died so many times, and I thought that was too on the nose though for a phoenix because I rise from the ashes, but I'm not really rising from the ashes because each near death experience is kind of bringing me more trauma and not making me a better person. So I went for a dragon because I just like dragons the most. But I went for the simplest hair possible though because this is my first time rigging. A lot of the tutorials I watched said to start with a chibi model, but I like to make things hard for myself and start with the most complicated thing. So that's why I decided to be chill on the hair. Instead of having so many hair strands, I had just two braids. So there's no strands in the braids, so the braids would move by themselves for the physics part, and there wouldn't be so many strands of hair. Though it was in the original plan to have very fluffy hair because I have very fluffy hair and don't know how to take care of it because it's supposed to be curly, so instead it's frizzy all the time. I also added a Starry Night piece under the dress because I'm a big Van Gogh fan. I love Van Gogh. Those of you who know me in real life will probably know this about me already. I apologize if you wanted to see the under of the dress, but I can't show you that because YouTube would get mad because I was drawing a naked person. Uh, because every part moves independently, so that of course includes, as you see, boobs. And I'm gonna have to blur that as I see it editing. So those have to move independently. So you have to draw them under the dress. So yeah, you cannot see that. And the next day, I cut the model. And by that I mean I shared it into my Google Drive just because that was the easiest way to get it onto my desktop. And then most people would use either Clip Studio Paint or Photoshop, but I am poor. So I use knockoff Photoshop, which is called GIMP, or also GIMP because it is anagram? No, that's not the word. What's it called when it's dots? Put it in future editing, Mandy. But anyway, you have to export it as a PSD file, which is a Photoshop file, so each layer is its independent layer still, so it doesn't all get sent as one piece. And it's very important to name all your layers so you don't get confused because there's gonna be so many, you're gonna get confused if you don't name them. And when I pieced it together, it didn't line up exactly, so I edited it. Is that the correct way to say that? I don't know. So it fit more uniquely together. Uniquely? What am I just making up words right now? Well, no, unique is a word, but I'm using it incorrectly. I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm all over the place. But I made it fit correctly together because the pieces weren't aligning properly. So I had to go and fix that. And also, for some reason, a piece of her hair got clipped out or something when I exported it. So I had to go and fix that. But that's fine because you can edit in Photoshop, Clip Studio, whatever program you're using. And it went over smoothly. And all the pieces were correct in their layers. The reason I had to piece them all together in the first place was because I used Procreate to draw the VTuber first, and if you have a large canvas on Procreate, it will not let you have the amount of layers you need for you to have each piece of the body on a different layer. So you split the character up so you can therefore have more layers. And then I go and export it and then piece it back together. And you're thinking, if you have this software, why don't you just draw it in this? You see, everything I'm doing right here is actually with a mouse. So you can see why I prefer to draw it on my iPad. Because drawing with a mouse is not easy, and I have an iPad, I can draw with an Apple Pencil. So, yeah, that's why I do it in the first place. It's just easier to do it that way for me. And then once you're done in your second software, you can export it as a PSD again and then open it back up in Live 2D Cubism, which is the only free software I think that you can do this on. And it is limiting because it does have a pro membership, so you can't use a lot of physics. If you have the free membership, it limits you to the amount of things you can have. Like, you can only have a certain amount of layers as well as a certain amount of folders. Everything is a smaller amount. Whereas if you have a paid membership, you can have as unlimited things as you want, as much as your computer can handle it. So I was not going to pay for the membership for my first time because I don't even know if I can use the software or if I like the software. So this was a test, and I definitely loved the software. I honestly don't even think you need a pro membership unless you're making something extremely complicated. For example, if I made the hair not braids, there's no way I could use the not free membership because, did I say that backwards? I'd have to have a paid membership if I use more complicated hair because the physics of the hair, you need a lot of that so it looks natural while it's moving. And I was able to do that through just having two physics folders. But if you have a lot, you will not be able to do that because I think you're only limited to two physics, as well as on the parameters, you can only have 3 key points per item, and that would be impossible for the amount of key points you need for the physics. And I might be talking in a different language to you. So this is very complicated, and I highly recommend you watch those tutorials that I said before if you're interested in making your own. This is my process, and trust me, I am not explaining it well. So this is definitely not a tutorial because it is scuffed and there's parts that I wish I did differently. Like how I exported it in a big file, and I should have before cropped it to fit my character so it wasn't so low quality when I exported it from Live 2D Studio. And that's actually gonna be real bad when I export it because it's going to look really pixely because the canvas is so big and the character is so small on the big canvas, so it looks pixely. But I had already rigged it, so I'm like, you know what? I'm not going back and making the character larger. What is the beeping? I just heard beeping. I don't know what that is. I'm sorry if you heard that. I really have to learn not to yell because I keep peeking the mic and breaking it. Also, I'm sorry if the lighting is harsh. Why am I apologizing for that? I mean, most programs come in a light mode, but I will learn that you can change it to dark mode, and I quickly do that because I am a vampire. Not really, but similar. Really, where is the beeping coming from? I never heard it when I was making this model, but it's coming from somewhere, and I think I'm losing it. I think I might be going crazy. But anyway, the first rigging I did was for the neck turns, which is on the angle Y? No, angle Z. I'm already forgetting how I did this. I cannot stress this enough. I would not be here without tutorials. You can really learn anything on YouTube, but nothing from my videos. Well, actually, no. You can learn some stuff. You can learn about really odd, rare conditions that are really rare, you know? I'm making myself laugh. Anyway, geometry actually comes in handy for this because you have the angle X and Y axis. And remembering which way those go are really important. Oh my god, the beeping is back. I'm sorry, I feel like this video is so scuffed. But you know, I already took forever making it. So, you gotta see it. Yeah, impressive.
Guys, I copy and pasted the eyes. We've got both eyes now. They blink, they follow the mouse, the physics works. Woo! Woo! Can you guess how many days that took me? 3 days. But to be fair, I've had I'm not gonna say the worst flare of my life because I've definitely had worse. I've been hospitalized. But I'm losing weight again, so it's not great. So gastroparesis is coming. Anyway, so I had a couple days off of working, so it didn't technically take that many days, but it felt like a long time. But it's working. I feel like a mad scientist with their creation.
It took me 2 days to figure out how to rig the eyes because the tutorial I watched taught you how to make them using physics, and that was really complicated but very helpful because the eyes do move when they blink, when they go down. And then I forgot to eat and messed up my stomach, so that was an illness flare. But here, as a little treat, since I didn't work on it for 2 days, here's all my settings and where I was at before I worked myself into a ground. And yeah, look at those physics. Impressive, right? Impressive. And that's how far I roll my eyes back in reality, too, because I roll my eyes way too much. I could roll my eyes before I could speak, probably. But anyway, you could realistically do this in a week if you remember to take care of yourself and don't need 2 days break because you worked yourself into having a gastroparesis flare, which is basically like food poisoning but all the time. If you don't know what gastroparesis is, it's because my stomach doesn't digest properly. But anyway, we are back on schedule after my flare, and we go back to mouth rigging, which is, I think, the hardest part by far. The eyes I thought were hard and they took me 2 days, but rigging the mouth way harder. Even though the mouth only took me a day, I thought it would take me way longer. And some people take up to 2 weeks doing the mouth because they want so many different mouth poses, but I thought I would be really simple since this is my first model and I'm already way past and I missed last week's video because I had worked myself into a flare. So we have to keep this simple. I have to stop going over the top, especially with how complicated I made this character. So I decided to be chill on the lip movements. Also, I don't recommend making the lips this thick because it's easier to rig things when they're thinner. I saw a tutorial, and as I said, could not do it without those tutorials, and the thinner lips go over so easy because the teeth aren't showing. I should have had the mouth closed in the that original final I did, and then work on making a mouth open version when doing this because I wanted the mouth open version to be her baseline, but that made it look like she's talking all the time, but it's okay, we're not going back. I was not going back to mess with the mouth some more. So we are just going to make it work with what we have. I ended up having to redo the bottom lip. I don't even begin to know why a piece of the bottom lip is missing. Like, you can see through it, the bottom lip to the skin layer, It was not like that at the beginning of this. I know I exported it in, and it was fully red. I don't know how a piece of a layer goes missing in this program. I ended up going way back in so I could figure this out, and then I went way too far back, and but now it works, okay? It works now because you're seeing a different clip now because I cut it out when I had to go back in and redo it all because I didn't want you to see me having a meltdown, and you probably would have enjoyed it. Oh my god, the beeping is back, guys. I really don't know. I'm scared. Where's the beeping? I feel like the Harry Potter musical with the puppets, and they're like, what's that mysterious ticking noise? If you know, you know, but I'm not editing it in because I really don't feel like it. Anyway, I am basically done with all the mouth movements. I just have to make it look accurate for when she's turning to the side because there's gonna be depth and you want it to look like it's 3D and not a flat shape. Because it is a flat shape, but you don't want it to look flat when she turns to the side. The nose I used also was pretty hard for this because you don't draw different layers for the side profile. You just manipulate it with a warp tool until it looks like it's from the side. So it was really hard to warp it to look accurate because I feel like it didn't look the same anymore once it was warped. Here I'm adding a physics layer for the hair, so when I turn to the left, it moves accurately. As I said, you can only have two physics layers if you don't have the paid version, so I ended up just doing the bangs and not the braids, and the braids do turn while you move. Oh my god, the beep is back. Somebody tell me what that is before I lose it. Somebody needs to comment and tell me what that is. Anyway, I made it in the angle X and angle Y and angle Z that the braids have their own key points. So they just move how I manipulated them. They have no physics to them though, so they don't bounce like regular hair would. But I feel like you still get movement from me warping it. It just doesn't have physics, which is fine because the braids have physics and it still looks good. It was overall just a very interesting process, and I'm really glad I did this. And it was super fun, even though I struggled a lot and got incredibly mad over it and had to restart a lot because things just kept going wrong. But overall, I'm really glad that I have this experience now and can hopefully make more someday, and maybe even instead of doing it in 2 weeks, doing it in one because I like to speed run and see how fast I can do things, which is dumb because I should literally be doing the opposite. As my physical therapist used to say, I boom and bust, which means I do everything all at once and then I can't do anything for a week. The busting, if you will. But I taking it slow is not in my vocabulary, if you will. But I also worked on organizing all the layers. I should have done this from the very first step. You should put them all in folders for each part. Like each arm should be in their own folder, like arm, hand for the right side, and then do the same with the left. And I shouldn't have saved this to the end, but I did anyway. And then I worked on turning them to the side through the folders. Anyway, it was very complicated. Highly, highly recommend you watch that tutorial I showed before because they are amazing and I could not have done it without them. How many times am I going to praise this person? I don't know. I don't know. But they're a genius and I could not have done it without them. If you think this progress slash process is too insane for you, I definitely recommend trying to get a slot in their commissions because they're amazing and their VTubers have so much detail and are so high quality. It's no wonder their commissions are so full booked all the time. That's the reason they said they made that tutorial, so the commission line wouldn't be so bad, so other people could make their own. And that blows my mind. Sorry, I'm just gushing over this artist. It sounds like almost a sponsorship, but I swear it's not. They're just another YouTuber that I am amazed with. And here is the final thing. She moves, and I'm so proud of it because it took me 2 weeks, and I did it in 2 weeks. That's actually kind of fast because a lot of people take months to make these. I mean, it definitely could have been better because I rushed it and I didn't have the paid version, but I was able to export it just fine. That actually made me do it multiple times. Actually, I'm lying because I had to export it several times because I forgot to make a texture file, which is very important if you're exporting it. And here it is in VTube Studio, which is how I do the face part, which is coming right up, and that's how I make her talk and track my face. It's basically a tracking face software. I don't know why I didn't just say that in the first place. I'm not a word virtuoso. I even said virtuoso wrong. As you can see, I'm not a word virtuoso. Shut up. I just need to shut up. Okay, so we did it. Here's the final. Let me turn to left, turn to the right. I got those backwards. My bad. Some things I've noticed about this model is it's not as high quality as I want it. You know what? It actually... Never mind, I take it back. It looks good. Another thing, it's made me realize that one of my eyes is bigger than the other, but not like... It's not the model's fault. It's just like in general in real life. Because when I get mad and my eyes get really wide when I talk or like get excited, one eye gets bigger than the other. Watch. I also have resting angry face because it should not look like so angry all the time. Well, right now I'm smiling, but when I was testing it out, it looked like I was really angry. It looks like this all the time. I'll show. And that's how I look all the time when I'm just gaming. But anyway, this is the final product and I'm so happy with it. Yeah, thank you for tuning in with me. Think about subscribing maybe. Also check out my Twitch because you'll be seeing this VTuber on Twitch. Yeah. And also for more art content and disability content, please subscribe. It makes me happy if you want to see more happy face. That's really it. Thank you so much. Also, we recently hit 1,000 subscribers, so thank you again so much. And most importantly, everyone, stay weird. Bye.